Moin. First of all, I'm going to ask a question. Anyone that would benefit from me having this talk in English? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, that's enough. Good. Okay, let's go, because there's limited time. Who am I? I'm Johannes Jamroszczyk. I'm the CTO of Tebbl UG. What do? We are focused on qualitative data analysis using artificial intelligence for a couple of years now. I come from the startup bubble from the start. I've experienced from 3 startups previously. And yeah, so what the tools do, we build 2 tools. One is for extract anything from anything. So it's basically a data transformation grid software that enables you to extract structured data from documents, images, audio, kind of like Excel, but with human language. And for students, we built an autocode tool that helps them automatically code expert interviews to get qualitative data insights into audio files and text files. Okay, let's talk about agents, as if you haven't heard enough of that today. Agents. I'm going to undo everything everyone did or talked about in the past year, because what I want to do is I want to use the stage to de-hype everything a little bit, because I'm actually quite annoyed by this whole a term pops up and now everyone needs to have it, and I hate it to my gut. So what are agents? James Bond, we know all this stuff. Gas can also be an agent, a cell is an agent, and Amazon has a bunch of agents. But we obviously talk about these agents, right? Like book a flight for me to Thailand outside of rain season. Great, okay, I will do that. Let's do it. And then there's a magic box and something happens. What I like to do every time a new trend arises, I always like to check the Gartner hype cycle. So everyone who doesn't know the Gartner hype cycle, it's basically an annually released kind of hype meter. Where are we with a certain terminology? So we always have like a spark initiator. There's a peak of inflated expectation where everything wow, everything needs to be an agent. And then there's the valley of disillusionment where kind of generative AI is kind of starting to slop into right now. Everyone's like, yeah, where's the AGI? Where's the Terminator walking around? It's just a chatbot, right? And then some smart companies over the span of 5 to 10 years, they manage to actually find the productive use cases where to actually build really effective software or tools. So I took myself the time when I heard the word agent to kind of look at the Gartner hype cycle from last year. And what I spotted is yeah, we have generative AI up here. Actually, I zoomed it in for some of you who are in the back and need glasses like I do. And it's it's on the verge of kind of dipping into the disillusionment part. But I spotted something interesting, which is multi-agent systems. So the word agent came up 2024 already, kind of. But I know this term because I studied this almost 10 years ago. And this is a book that references other books that are from 1987 that are already talking about distributed artificial intelligence and agents. It's an age-old term, agent, agentic systems, multi-agent systems, agentic AI. We have always talked about multiple AI things doing things together. And that's just the way it is. So if you look at the n-gram from Google, which is how many times do people actually Google stuff, multi-agent systems has been around for a long time, but AI agents now is kind of picking up. And that's a very, very regular trend. Because if we look at 2025, where generative AI is already kind of, everyone kind of stops caring so much, AI agents is now at the very top. We're at the peak of the hype, right there. So this is basically what every business thinks about now. Oh shit, I'm struggling implementing a simple chatbot, but agents are the new thing and everything needs to have an agent. And then they start kind of implementing solutions into businesses that they don't need and, riding a scooter inside of their flat, No need for that. You can walk to the kitchen. There are easier solutions. So why am I talking about this? I just want to sensitize everyone. We're at the peak of a hype. Everything needs to be agent right now, but it doesn't. And hype doesn't mean that everything needs to have a multi-agent system. So everything I'm going to tell you in the next 5 to 6 minutes is majorly inspired by Anthropic's. I don't know if anyone has read this. If you didn't, you don't need my presentation. Go in there, check it out. It's a great article from Anthropic about building effective AI agents, what makes sense and what doesn't make sense for your business. So agent is not agent. There are different types of agents. And that's why many companies, including Anthropic, they say agentic systems. Systems that are not, you know, that magic black box that goes and books your hotel for some weird reason, but there are different types of agentic systems. And they just have some things in common. They're autonomous, they have some rules, and a system in which they operate, and they change themselves and interact with other things. And there are two things that I want you to take away. If you didn't take anything away from this talk, think about it like, if you are a business and you really think, I need AI stuff, think about whether you need a workflow or you need a proper agent. Not everything needs a real agent that has access to 50 tools, like checking the time, going to the weather API, and figuring everything out. A simple workflow can sometimes be everything you need. What is a workflow? But before I talk about what is tools, because I'm going to use this a little bit. So tools, you can just imagine like anything an AI could trigger or use or kind of interact with. Those can be functions inside a programming script. Those can be, API calls to a translation service. Or actually, tools can also be entire other workflows or agents. So it's basically, if I have a script and I can trigger something, that something is a tool. So a tool can be this Lego brick, but also an array of Lego bricks that have a different function can be a tool. So workflows, let's talk about it. When do I need a workflow? I need a workflow when my problem in my business is very deterministic. If I have a linear problem that has one input and one output, and it kind of is always the same, there's no need for an agent. I have an input, I have a tool, I might have another tool, but the definition is basically I have a process tree that is defined, and the tools are also defined, and they're actually already integrated in the tree. It's like a script, like when I write a programming script for everyone here familiar with programming. An agent is more like the tree doesn't exist yet, but I tell you with what Lego pieces you can build the tree. You're allowed to build the tree. And you are completely free in what order you do, how often you do it. You can do it infinitely if I don't stop you. And yeah. So, and I'm just going to walk you through some simple workflows that I think are important to kind of understand if maybe you see your business problem inside of some of these workflows. Everyone knows prompt engineering. I get like a prompt, I like embed it in some string text that I kind of manipulate myself and do some magic in the system prompt, and then I get a nice kind of output. That is for if I have a foredefined output format that I would like to have. Like talk to everyone like Santa, or be flirty with the person talking to you. Prompt chaining. Maybe I have a process where the defined process benefits from cutting down the problem into several steps. We're not in magic territory yet, I know. So basically maybe the first prompt wants to write an outline for a paragraph, and the second one then uses the outline to actually write the paragraph, to increase quality. Routing. This is also not agentic. It's an agentic workflow, but it's not an agent, but it gets stuff done. An LLM decide what LLM should answer my question. Maybe I just have 3 use cases, 3 things. Maybe I expect my business use case to just end up in 3 different ways, and I can steer an LLM via fine-tuning or something, and one LLM just knows about in what system it is embedded and can decide, yeah, use 1, it's the best for that, or use 3. So, 4, parallelization. Maybe all these steps are not dependent on each other. You can parallelize things. If you are doing sentiments analysis of single customer reviews, don't do them one after the other, do them all at once, right? Like parallelization. That's not a magic term. If you don't know what that means, go to ChatGPT or Google and see how do I parallelize my script or my loop, right? Yeah. And then we have orchestration. So maybe I need step 1 and step 2. What I'm getting at is there are many different types of workflows. And what I'm showing you is just building pieces. So, for example, self-evaluation is a good example. That already looks kind of agentic because I'm like throwing something in and it feeds its result to a second LLM, and the second LLM is like, oh, I have these parameters, these acceptance criteria, and as long as they're not met, I'm going to shoot it back and say, no, that's not good enough. And then I get a circular motion. What I'm trying to get at, you can combine these. If you have a business problem that is very, very deterministic, you need to always turn certain documents into another format. There is no need to deploy a huge agent that looks through everything unless you have huge amounts of data of which you just need certain parts. And even if you do, RAG can be implemented with like 10 lines of code with pre-made libraries by now, where you can search huge libraries of data for the right type of information, and then you can chain certain of these workflows together, like routing, parallelization, self-evaluation. So there's no hierarchy. There's not agents, and workflows are part of agents, and then we have tools, and also agents are not always better. So, and that's what I said. Also, workflows and agents can be tools inside of a regular workflow. Agents are, actually I'm not going to tell you what agents are again, because you've probably heard it a bunch today, maybe not. But it's more like the process is not defined. And I just say, okay, you can plan your own actions and you can decide at what time what tools should be used. Maybe you need to get new input from the user. Maybe you need to search the data. But that's not always necessary. So why am I telling you this? The most problems are realizable today. I would say probably 80% of the regular business models of all businesses that actually strive to go adapt digitalization rather than AI are solvable with simple workflows. And I think what I took away also from that article is make it simple. So if you have a web content generator, you maybe don't, if you, of course, if you have like copywriting stuff, either use a pre-made service, you know, that kind of can implement your branding and everything. But, you know, you can achieve so much more quality. If you, for example, say, okay, I have an LLM that writes the outline, and then a content LLM. And if you're not happy with this, make an evaluation loop inside of it. You know, FAQ chatbot. If you just have 100 FAQs or 50, maybe you don't even need like a big RAG system, you know? Like, what I'm getting at, I can go on and on and on, but I probably don't have much more time, is before you think it's agent time now, because it's 2025, really try to understand your project. If you have documents and they always need to go into a plot because you're a consultancy or you want to kind of always structure this data, build a simple workflow. Don't overdo it. Don't do agents always with everything. It's not the solution to everything. And with APIs becoming more and more easy, it's actually a good thing. For some things, there might be a use of agents, like our tool uses agents, but that's too complex, you know? Yeah, so takeaways. Understand your problem. Learn to structure your problem. Think like a product owner, like a project manager. What are the simple steps? What are the machines in my factory? Do they always do the same thing, or is it completely non-deterministic? Yeah, so do it suitingly and not complex. And also, like, apply design thinking. Do something simple, and if the quality is bad, you can still improve a little bit. Yeah. Good. So that's from my side. I know it's a lot, but I'm always open for conversation. You can scan the link, visit tebbl.com. It's easy to remember. Yeah. Go into a conversation with me if you need help or inspiration or whatever. Yeah. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope you have a great rest of the evening.
Thank you very much. Does anyone have a question? I can give you the microphone, and then you can ask the question if you have one. Well, you guys can think about it, and I will ask a question then. My question is, what do you currently enjoy most in the field of AI, and what frustrates you?
Okay, first, the enjoyment. I think what's really neat about working with artificial intelligence is that as an IT person, you're always used to it either works or it doesn't. So I would answer the question, both of your questions in the same way. I really like the non-deterministic nature of never knowing, okay, my code is wrong and thus I need to change my code. But you know, you go in and you're like, it works, but it's still trash. You know, the result is not what I expected. And I think that's very refreshing. But if you do that every day, it becomes very frustrating. So I think that's kind of the, yeah.
Both sides.
Both sides, yeah.
Does anyone have a question now? Not yet? Okay, I'll keep going then. How does your daily work with AI change your view of human decision-making processes?
Yes, so a lot, because I think I spotted like a big problem where I would become more reliant on asking AI for simpler and simpler things. That's just something I regularly check when I kind of try to solve problems, and I think that is something that I actively try to work against. Like if I have hurdles actually understanding a problem, this phase of understanding how to solve a problem, what are the factors of a problem, that's great. Like AI is amazing for that, but I stopped, like doing simple research for a single word, It's like so easy to ask. And I think there's so much pleasure and joy in like going out and like seeking your own knowledge and also consulting different sources. Yeah.
Understandable. Does anyone else have a question? Last chance. Otherwise, I will ask another question. Okay, doesn't seem like it. How do you reliably test and evaluate actual agent systems, especially if they do not act deterministically?
Yeah. So in German or in like simple English, like if it's not just right or wrong, how do you correct for wrong? Users, 100%. Like implement a feedback feature in your chats, in your whatever. If they don't like a result, let them tell you why. There's no way for you to go back and troubleshoot. You would have to see what's the user ID, what did they write, and like get all the chat. But this is something, if they are not happy with the answer, let them interact with the chat. It's a chat. They don't need to contact the support. They can say, no, that's not good, that's trash, that's a trash answer. I'm very sure many of you have done this with ChatGPT. Like, what are you telling me? That's not what I asked for. And you can flag this. An LLM is great at spotting whether the user wasn't happy with an answer, right? Just put in a simple LLM that is trained to just give out yes or no if it is a critique of the output, and then you can store it or you can even analyze it. So, yeah.
Thank you so much. That was very interesting. Thank you, Johannes.
Thank you.